Alright, welcome back to the project, the show. And it's the next episode, another week, another Friday. So we're going to cover more on digital research and administrative tasks and duties. This is I have a little bit of a difference here because I've changed the setup so that I now have two ring lights and I think I'll talk about that in the future. So the backdrop is a little bit nicer behind me. But let's just get right to it. We have some stuff here that is a continuation from the previous episodes, and so what we're gonna start off with is I think this main theme is gonna be OneDrive. So Microsoft OneDrive, we have a variety of folders that we just want to clear, just blow right through. Again, it's just the Microsoft Office suite. I have a bunch of tabs open that were saved because I want to speak on them, given that I had a lot of, I guess, just relevant things to do in terms of business, employment, careers, taxes, and what else, like social services, government documentation, stuff like that. Once again, there will be a privacy graphic that we put up there just so you can't see exactly everything. So let's just start off here where we left off. On the very top, my left is your right. That is a folder for, if you can't see, there's actually a pamphlet there of a man and a woman, both of them in like athletic fitness gear. And that's because this is USANA Health Sciences, which is a biomedical research company that focuses on cellular nutrition. And I take the supplements. If you're curious about what they are, they're actually at the bottom of my page as well. But long story short, I take these because I want to maintain my joint health as well as get high purity supplements in terms of omega-3, as well as a comprehensive amount of calcium, vitamin D, all the general nutritional stuff. Long story short, this is a folder that contains all customer, associate, and business documentation. And so I think I'll leave this folder open because I may refer to this once in a while. This is one of the few things that I, once again, aside from the daily Excel spreadsheet, and also I think the application on Microsoft Word for a government benefits. Those are two things I'm gonna keep open. This is gonna be a third. So we're gonna leave this folder open. This is exactly where we left off last time. And I'm gonna hop over to a different folder here. Kind of see what this is. So this is video raw. Let me see if I can pause for a moment here. Okay, so this one I definitely have to put a cover over because this one contains a few files, largely PDF files as resources, as well as PowerPoint presentations. Actually, the previous folder that I showed you with the business materials from USANA Health Sciences, and there are Olympic athletes that take our supplements as well, but anyways, I won't talk too much about that. Over here, this is a folder for the I wouldn't say it's nationally affiliated, but it is named after my country. You know, so for example, the American Psychological Association is an example of if you know. But I'm not living in the States though. Anyways, the point is, this is for a men's family center. So especially for men, that's kind of hard to find nowadays. It's always been difficult. Men have always been lacking in resources. It's called the CCMF, and you may be familiar if you're living in the same country, but it's a fantastic organization for single men and single fathers and boys and who have been experiencing, you know, the standard domestic violence, SA, abuse, neglect, harassment throughout their lives. And so it's something of I would say, a real savior organization for just men in general. Just don't get that kind of any sort of resources or sympathy at all until recently. So this is something that's definitely nice to have. Long story short, they have a recovery program. They have that's therapeutic. They have legal aid clinics. They have all the standard social services that are available to you, and it's fairly comprehensive. And and so some of the resources are here. They even have a curriculum for one of those recovery programs. I'm not going to detail too much into it. You can look on the website if you want. Just Google CCMF. Anyways, the point is there's some curricula material here. So for the 13-week cycle of one of the programs called the Nexus program, they do have a curriculum, and so there's a fantastic work on guilt, shame, coping mechanisms, strategies, hypervigilance, all that kind of stuff, healthy boundaries, codependency, so on and so forth. And it's fairly rudimentary stuff, but having a solid curriculum is very important because it gives you a guideline as to what sorts of topics you need to cover in order to have a healthy relationship in general, whether it's acquaintance, friendship, relatives, family, blood, spouse, children, grandchildren. It's just about having healthy relationships. I'll put that to the side there. That's why I covered it up, because this is material that generally I cannot show. Okay. I should also mention briefly that there's actually other things that I didn't close last time that I really want to close. So bear with me a second here as I find them. So here's a folder that I didn't close, and it's actually a separate folder of a similar topic when I had the security cameras. I was talking about last episode how there are several cameras as security inside my unit, and my superintendent, who I'm kind of chummy with because he gets shit done and so do I, we can trust each other in terms of managing this general housing unit. He's a very trustworthy man, so I'm just gonna say that much. And here's a camera here, right? And he was checking the floors. This is before the floors were fixed, so it came in before the Afghani team that was doing all the woodwork and the parquet flooring and the varnish, and then he also came in afterwards. So there's a folder this is a tab for before they were just inspecting, and then they had to bid for a contractor. Okay, so that's one tab I gotta close. And then there was this one as well. If you recall, I mentioned that there were photographs taken of when I was trying to leave a certain neighborhood I was going no contact, completely full-blown no contact, and they just would not leave me alone. Because as you know, when you try to leave in a very abusive, highly hostile, they just can't take the fact that they have to try to control it. They just try to insert themselves into your lives and try to ruin and sabotage everything you have going for you. So I tried to leave, and every time they would see me, they would try to make a scene out of it in public. The most embarrassing shit on the fucking planet. They're so toxic. Anyways, trying to leave that, I had to take photographs, I mentioned, right? So this is the folder of them. The furniture, the bed mattress, this and that, again, this tab can also go. All right, so here's something relevant, right? We just talked about that moving agency that helps you, especially those who are going through DV and SA, sympathies to men and women who are experiencing some sexual abuse or assault on a daily basis from their own significant other, or just from their own household. Sometimes it's a whole group, right? You have, full-blown narcissistic households where, everybody just turns in on a single family member who's trying to carry the entire financial, material, emotional, social, psychological, physical burden of the household. And so here is the escape application, right? It's almost so here's some questions I'm going to read out to you. So what's the client's primary language? Do you use email? Is there any kind of language barrier we should be aware of? Client's preferred move date. So I put down some dates there. Again, nothing confidential here. If I scroll up or down, there would be, personal information like, addresses and stuff, which I'm not going to show. But moving dates, you have to give 3 dates. So like April 30th, May 2nd, 7th, 2024. Again, this was like less than a year ago, actually, surprisingly. Does the client have any restrictions on availability, evenings, and so on and so forth? And of course, this does require that you are referred to from a community agency or community association, which I had already reached out to, and I'm very, very thankful to this lovely Filipino man. He's a very, we had a good camaraderie there. He's like, and yeah, he was a very understanding person, and just very, very competent individual. Just housing a lot of people. At one point I came in and he talked about how he was helping this really, just really unfortunate old granny who ended up on the streets, and was constantly going to the food banks and stuff like that. So you can imagine, especially it was in the dead of winter, for the elderly to be homeless is very dangerous in the winter. They can literally die on the streets from freezing temperatures, and all it takes is a fall when you're that old and that frail. A broken bone here and there can literally spell out being hospitalized for the rest of your life. Hip bones, all that kind of stuff. That's I'm not gonna get too much into it. And you can tell I'm not speaking in usually I'm not being more articulate as I am, because I actually have to go to work tomorrow, so I apologize if I'm a little skittish. Okay, alright, to the side. So after all that community stuff, community agency services, it's a local detachment, and the associate third-party organization that was helping with moving. We also have a tab here that covers, that's kind of the main Microsoft OneDrive cloud folder, and if you can't tell, there's a variety of different media types. They're all in folders, but each folder, covers something separate. This one's got photographs, it's got relationships, that's more for videos and comedy or business resources over here, audio over there, photographs, screenshots, and they all have, there's no consistency, I would say, right now between them. It's not too important, but they are codified to a certain degree. And I actually have more than one of these open, so I'm going to close this one. It's because this is the other folder that I have open that I usually use more for the directory of all my cloud drive folders. Although right now it's navigated to a different folder, specifically to a certain application. This one has more to do with mental health and proofs and evidence and stuff like that. I'm not going to cover it too much in detail. It can get a little bit private here. But again, because everything's in acronyms, I don't mind just kind of showing it briefly. Now there are some, before we wrap up this episode, I think there are a few things I want to get rid of, that I should have gotten rid of the past 2-3 episodes when I was covering employment related documents like on Microsoft Word or resume, as well as cover letters. So why don't we hop over there? With this being an example, right? This is the letter that I mentioned for staff. At the shelter, and feeling some regrets about not being there all the time, and just not really participating with the community as much as I would have liked. But regardless, just drafting a letter that I never really printed out or gave them, just expressing my missed opportunities, but expressing my thanks and so on and so forth. So you can probably close this. And on that note, so is this one. This tab also should go. It's online Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, like I said, of income taxes, and it's a directory, spreadsheet of all the business taxes and expenses. Which one of them you see here is a Go Skills, which is administrative learning, right? It's online courses for learning how to, handle reception, project management, SaaS, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But this is an old version. This is 2.4. This is definitely very old. It's 2023, so it's more than about 2 years ago, 1.5 years at least. So definitely not relevant anymore. So once again, just like the other file, I should have closed this a long time ago. All right, and probably one of the last few things I want to cover this episode, finally. Remember when we talked about photographs when we were moving out? And that tab that had all these photos of furniture or like a mattress, an office desk. So this one is, that was when I was moving out of the other household and now moving into this household, moving from that household and just leaving that ridiculous fucking neighborhood and community and coming down here. So really going back to my roots, somewhere like downtown core, which is where I grew up, and I learned all my street smarts and conventional wisdom and experiences and anecdotes and practical real life skills and how to kind of like go in and about and manage people and deal with all sorts of nasty different types of people, whether it's entitlement or attachment or clinginess or shady people, like just learning how to navigate a very sketch environment. Back to my roots here. This is the place that I was first moving into after that community organization. As I said, there's this great Filipino caseworker, again, privacy confidentiality, no name is mentioned, but just Ivy. We'll just start Ivy. Let's call him. It helped me to get community housing, and here we are, and we have this entire folder here. And what this folder is, how it relates to that is it's a documented photograph and video format of the defective components of the place that we're trying to move into that prevented us from actually moving in for at least a full-blown year. Because, for example, the HVAC, which is the heating, cooling, centralized ventilation system, and air conditioning system, it just was, what was it? It was, the whole vent had a hole. It was like a 2-meter high hole, and it wasn't covered up. So you could see, actually, that there are several photographs and videos of me just documenting that, and it was also leaking. So you can see I was pointing here. I'm not sure you can see a cursor to where it's leaking, to the tubes of caulk, silicone that I used to collect the water. It was leaking because of condensation for at least 5 days. It was ridiculous. The floor started to pop. It looked like it was moldy, but it's not mold. But it was bad anyways because then there were pests coming in because of the moisture. And so we have examination photos, cumulative damages, personal repairs, 0.3 security images, 11 contractor review, 0.00, 01, 0.2, okay. And definitely don't need this folder anymore. It's been fixed for a while now, which is great. Great because again, the renovations are done. And then now we have, again, more stuff that just old spreadsheets. These are just different versions. That one was 2.5. 2.4. 002.4 in 2023. And this is just a little bit later. This is a 003.6, which would have been a year later, I believe. No, it's the same. It's the same. Still 20. No, it's about, yeah, it's a full year later. It's 2024. But, it's basically another spreadsheet of income taxes that, again, but this was the last year's filing. So in 2024, we filed for 2023. So I blurred out some stuff here with the image because, once again, you can't tell there this time. There's actually confident. There's like, for example, checks, detailing which banks I'm using, right, and stuff like that to pay down my mobile, my phone bill or my internet and crap like that. So definitely cannot show that, and definitely get rid of it because we don't need this either. It's like out of date and taking space, and the taxes were already filed last year. And then there's this one, which is also just completely useless. This is, when we were pulling one of these resumes from before, I'm assuming. It looks like it, yeah, so that's what it looks like. It looks like it to be an old resume from like all the way back in like 2016, more than 8 years ago, when I was still just about to graduate from university or whatever. Like really, really old stuff. And I think I was just pulling that file open. No, it might be a full decade, it might be 10 years more, because it was just me pulling experiences, skill sets, qualifications, volunteering experiences, internships, whatever, so that I could build a portfolio of qualifications to add to my resume at the time. So you can tell the file's been moved, it's been renamed, or something like that. So it's just close this tab as well. And I think last but not least for this episode, yet another left open file with all my experience. This is the portfolio, Microsoft Word. Again, we just don't need it open. I should mention that I did update this with a line yesterday, and that was I added a new skill set and experience that we work through is we do some minor cross-departmental stuff. Not very much, just 1 or 2 things. So we learned how to cycle count in terms of certain products in the frozen dairy department. Just checking, for example, certain brands of Nielsen or True Taste, Lactantia, I'm just throwing names out here. How many units we have in the store that may have been miscounted, on the system, computerized system. Just to keep things organized so that we know how much product and supply we have in stock versus going out. And if there's an error, that's what the cycle count's about. So I added a line for that. Same thing was also with price checks, learning how to scan and log into one of the devices, scan the UPC code, Universal Product Code, and again get down the number of units left and so on and so forth, and print labels and different sizes. So that's it. I think that's a fairly comprehensive coverage. One moment, just really wanted to check I didn't miss anything, and turns out I did, because there's actually another tab here open, and I think this one is this is a subfolder within the folder of income taxes that covers receipts for renovations that I paid out of pocket myself that I want to write off as deductions, as these materials I used to renovate my terrace unit, that of course my studio I use, at least in part, some of the square footage is used for this project as well as the side business. On top of it, there's also receipts I can tell where I spent some time just kind of having meals and connecting with a few clients for the other side business, and so that can be written off as meals and entertainment by 50% deduction. So that's something else that I need to do. So yeah, get rid of this as well. All right, and last but not least, a duplicate folder for something that's a little bit more fun. A good place to end off is this folder here, which has a bunch of media files, and it's music, podcasts, mostly music, videos, Linkin Park, Ludovico classical music, Pink, yeah, Christmas, Elvis, even country music. That's definitely, I know some people just hate country music, but whatever. AC, so adult contemporary. I would listen to a lot of that kind of stuff when I was growing up. As a kid, I was listening to adult music, so that tells you where my mind was at, right? It was always about, like you're thinking like 6, 7, 8-year-old kid thinking about 35, 40 middle-age relationships and marriage. That's where my head was at already at that age. I was only like 7, 8 years old, And I was thinking about what it meant to have a companionship with your partner and your spouse, to be there for them when they're struggling, to help pay the bills and finances, to love another when there are challenging situations. That's where my head was at. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna close it. Ren, here's Ren. I am Ren. Hi, Ren. Anyways, so that's that. I think I'll leave it off here, close it, and just do maybe one more recording. Gotta go sleep. I'll wake up tomorrow a bit early, and then yeah. So that's it. Ciao. So so bad.